Yeah, what happened in my last video was something that sort of just happens in Wichita and Kansas in general, like every April. Basically, I got a warning on my phone that there's a tornado warning and to seek shelter, so me and my brothers just went into the basement for 45 minutes until the warning went away. The tornado was north of here. Which, if you're in Wichita, it was like Newton. I'm on the south side of town. Newton is north of Wichita, so I was alright. But anyway, that's what happened. If you live in Wichita, there's tornadoes every April, all the time. Sucks. There was a bakery that we used to go to all the time several years ago. A tornado came and just destroyed it. So that sucks. But anyway, I said my next video was going to be a philosophy video, and here's my philosophy video. I saw a video that mentioned certainty, and I noticed something. Normal people and philosophers use the word certainty very differently. Normally, certainty means you really believe it's going to happen. But in philosophy, the word certainty is even stronger. In philosophy, if you're certain of something, then it's literally impossible for it not to be true or not to happen. So normally, in normal everyday use, if you're like 99% certain something's going to happen, that's enough for you to call it certain. But in philosophy, if you're 99% sure that something's going to happen, that's not certainty. In philosophy, it has to be 100%. So that's why my distinction is between practically certain and philosophically certain. So outside of philosophy would be practical certainty. So for instance, I am practically certain, or in normal lingo, certain that I will be alive and healthy by the end of the week, and today is Thursday. So I'm practically certain that I'll be totally fine on Monday. But I'm not philosophically certain. To be philosophically certain, it would literally have to be impossible for it to be the case for my health not to be the same Monday. See, so that's the main difference. Or another one, more in the philosophy realm, I am practically certain that I am real. I'm practically certain that I'm sitting in a chair talking to a camera. I'm practically certain that I'm not a brain in a vat. And I'm practically certain that I have some kind of free will. And I'm practically certain that of physicalism, for instance, that the world's nothing but matter and that consciousness is just an emergent property of the brain, you know, the juices in the brain, the meat, the synapses and all that. But I'm not philosophically certain of any of that. Like, so that's the difference. The normal definition of the word is a lot weaker than the philosophy definition of the word. Because philosophically speaking, I'm willing to admit that I might actually be like a delusion or something. I'm willing to admit that I might not be here and that this all might be fake and that I might be a brain in a vat. So I'm not philosophically certain. I'm not really philosophically certain of much of anything. Like maybe that there's no contradiction in reality. Like, but even there, I'm not certain. I'm not really philosophically certain. But fortunately for me, since I've been influenced by pragmatism, I don't really think philosophic certainty is even all that important to begin with. Practical certainty is fine. For instance, when it comes to the question of are we brains in a vat, are we in the matrix, is any of this even real? Because of the pragmatism that I was influenced by, it doesn't really matter too much. Like, it's an interesting question, but it's pragmatic to believe that we're not in the matrix and we're not brains in vats somewhere. The brains in vats thing, if you don't know, is the idea that it's possible that our brain is in like a lab somewhere, and that our brain is being fed experiences that these experiences are being fed are identical to how we're living. So think like Inception, but like to where the person doesn't know that they're in a dream or something. But yeah, I'm not philosophically certain at all that that's not the case. That could be the case. But I'm practically certain that that isn't, because that does not seem at all likely. I'm pretty sure that it isn't enough to say I'm practically certain. And pragmatically speaking, it's useful to think that it isn't the case. And a little bit more context, because I assume that you all haven't taken crazy amounts of philosophy classes. Pragmatism has to do with there's sort of a light and strong version of pragmatism. Strong pragmatism is our beliefs should be entirely based on what's useful rather than what's true, which is too strong for me. I like light pragmatism, which is more of a matter of, if it's kind of debatable, the usefulness should factor into which one you go with. So since the whole do we live in a matrix question is not very likely, and it's useful to believe that we're not in the matrix, that should factor into our decision there. But anyway, yes, I kind of went in tangents, and that's the thing that's difficult about the philosophy, is that you kind of have to know a whole lot already to get it, which is why you have to reread philosophy books in order to understand it, because you already kind of have to know everything in the book in order to understand the book that you're reading for the first time, which is a pain. On top of that, you'd have to know things from other books, so hence why it's a pain to learn philosophy. But that's basically it. Philosophers and normal people use different definitions of a word. In fact, that happens all the time. This video would be very, very long if I came up with every example in which philosophers use a word in a weird way that normal people would never use. And just to recap, I think we should separate practical certainty from philosophic certainty. From basically the difference between being like 99% sure versus philosophic certainty, in which it is literally impossible. If you are really philosophically certain, then the idea is that it's completely impossible for you to be wrong. Hence why philosophic certainty is really, really hard. That's all.